Hello everybody, it's Mr. Second Amendment, and today we're going to be looking at my 2020 loadout. Just kind of inspired to do this video in terms of guys. I see a lot of guys talking about what they carry or what's going on. Maybe you live in a city where things have been going on or ongoing. Just with everything going on, these are the guns and this is the life-saving equipment that I will always have when I'm out in public or driving around. Whether it's going to be in the vehicle, I'm going to show you the main guns that I've carried or use or take with me anywhere I go, really, in 2020. So just kind of as a comparison point, you may not need all this stuff or want all of it. We're not going to be talking about simple EDC stuff like, oh, here's everything I carry on me, my knife, my keys, my wallet. I'm talking more about the life-saving equipment. And just breaking it down to that first, if you guys are interested, we'll do the vehicle load plan video of what else is in there to keep the vehicle running and have some spare supplies in there. We're not going to be going over that for this video. This is primarily sticking to the guns and the life-saving equipment that I'm always going to have. So this one's going to be feature length. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and let's go ahead and check it out. All right, starting with the pistols. At first, a basic gloss over, and I'll go into each one in detail. I got my Astra 44 Magnum, my Glock 19X, Glock 42, Beretta 92FS Police Special, and then my 1911, which just came back from Cerakoting. This is the custom mil spec that you guys have seen over the years. So let's talk about each one of these in detail. All right, so starting with, this is my Astra 44 Magnum. You guys saw that in the big pistol shoot video that Range Chris and I did. Everything is always going to be hot, round in the chamber for a semi-auto or full cylinder. Got it loaded with some SNB. This is their lead flat nose 240 grain stuff. So the only real time or purpose for this pistol is when I'm up in the mountains with COVID and everything. It's been nice going up to the mountains and just either doing something up there, hanging out, just kind of getting some time and space. So anytime I go up to the mountains, whether it's the elk or the moose and the stuff that we have up there, I always take this. It's not this most ideal holster. It's honestly just kind of a janky, one size fits most kind of shoulder rig. Just got the 2 speed loader pouches over here. But this, I'll just throw it in the truck, take it up to the mountains. So with all of us trying to maybe do something, social distancing or whatever, and just trying to have some time off, do a little, on a day off or something, just go outdoors and just kind of hang out and relax. This is the gun I take definitely every time I go to the mountains. So with all the trips to the mountains I've been doing this year, this gun has gotten a lot of use going up there. So I just wanted to include it. That's really it, just for the mountains. I don't carry this in regular everyday life, just for trips like that. All right, so the next thing to discuss really before I get into these guns is I work at a gun shop and a gun range. So we carry in there. Work is the only place you'll ever see me open carry. I concealed carry everything else. And these 2 guns right here, my 19X and then my custom 1911, these 2 are the guns that I carry most often this year. Riding in a Black Hawk Omnivore holster. Now the Omnivore actually indexes on, you can either get a TLR1 and there's a couple other TLR Streamlights that work, or you can get the Omnivore holster that works with the Surefire X300 Uniform Alpha. So it does not index on any particular gun. It indexes on the weapon light, and I have a review on this if you want to check that out. If you hate Serpa holsters like I do, this is a total 180. It's got the thumb drive retention. You can jump the light to different guns, and you're in business to carry a multitude of handguns with the same holster. So I'll just jump that off, put that on the 19X, and now that's what I'm going to carry just like that. Really, it comes down to these 2 guns just for ammo availability. I'll see if I can get back a little bit. But 9mm, of course, has been really hard to find. I like to continually train at least 1 to 2 really good range sessions a week that last about an hour or so, where I really work on the fundamentals, work on my carry gun, trying to do at least 100, 150 rounds a week out of my carry guns. Makes it easy working at a gun range, but ammo has been kind of the problem. So when 9mm, if I can score some 9mm, then I'll start, jumping to the 19X again at work, but mainly 45 ACP, a little bit easier. Still tough, but easier to find. So my 1911 has really stepped in a lot of the time. My preference, if I can get it, is to carry a 9mm 19X. We got 20 rounds total, 19 in the mag plus 1. It's my preferred choice, but when 9mm is completely just not able to be found at all, which is most of this year so far, I jump back to the 1911. So I don't have to shoot up my reserves. I can easily replace the ammo. So the 1911, which just came back from Cerakote, this is the custom mil spec you guys have seen over the years. We'll do a video on that. But between these two, these are my 2 primary guns. Really just depends if I scored some 9mm enough to train with for a couple weeks, or if I'm just stuck with 45. But these are kind of the primary options. The Glock, I'll definitely carry it when I'm off work or not at work, inside the waistband, about 3.5 o'clock position. That's an RDR Kydex holster. Always going to have at least a spare mag. So just, this is loaded up with Spear Gold Dots 147 grain, 2 magazines total for that. Same thing with the 1911. So I'm going to go ahead. I have 45, but 9mm is kind of not to be found right now. So right now, my 1911 is the primary for now. Let's talk about this belt though. All right, so working at a gun shop and a gun range, this is just kind of a streamlined belt that makes the most sense for where I work and what I do. I don't expect or think most people are going to be rocking something like this every single day, depending on where you work or what you do. But at least where I work and what I do, this is always going to be on me every single day. So I got the primary, again, depending on ammo, whether 45 or I managed to get some 9 that I can train with, mainly going to be the 1911 or the 19X. This belt, I can't even remember what brand it is. Let's make sure we're in frame. There we go. So this has kind of your quick buckles right there. I've had this thing for years. Not sure who made it. It's 18 kilonewtons. So, I've pulled a car out of a ditch with this thing once. It's kind of nice having a belt that is pretty sturdy. In terms of the support side, I'll have old school taco pouches that I've also had for years. This is nice because I can quickly, maybe I do score some 9mm, so the 1911 is out and the 19X is back in for a couple weeks. In that case, just take that, put that in there. That's what I love about the tacos. You can pretty much put anything in there, a Gerber, different mags, whatever, and just kind of tension that up. I'll always have a spare AR magazine, and that's just something I'm used to having. I'm one of those guys that I kind of need it bullets forward as a right-handed shooter. I know it's common or it's typical. I see a lot of guys will carry spare mags if they're a right-handed shooter on their support side, oriented this way. So I know that works out just how you're going to grab for the reload. I've tried working with it that way, but honestly, maybe it's just habits, maybe not the best habits, or maybe it's just working fine. But right-handed shooter on support side, bullets oriented forward. That actually seems to work for me out of the different ways I've tried it. So a little bit unconventional probably for most or some. That's what I do. Ammunition for the 1911, that's going to be Federal 230 grain. That's their punch line, jacked at hollow point. It's definitely going to get what we need it to do. My AR stuff is going to be the Mark 262 load. That's your open tip 77 grain match round. Honestly, one of the better performing choices if you can find any. And it's about time I cycle this. I just can't find anything right now to replace it. So that's my chosen defensive. My defensive mags are all loaded up with that stuff. Moving on to the IFAK. So I'm going to have a tourniquet. There's other types and kinds of tourniquets. The cat tourniquet, at least for me, is the thing that I have the most real world experience with and training and practice with. It does just a great job. Again, there's probably cooler, like the soft T and a bunch of others that are awesome, but at least for me, in a moment of a shit show or anything like that, I'm just going to go back to what I'm familiar with. Cat tourniquet is going to be just fine. And I have that secured just with some bike tire inner tube. It's my favorite way to make strong rubber bands, so I can just rip that out of it. And then we got the IFAK, just going to have an H&H, an Israeli in there. Got some EMT shears. Having something to deal with traumatic injury on the range. Not a bad idea, at least where I work. If you work construction or you do anything like that, work with equipment, not going to be a bad idea to have something on hand. But this is at least on my person every day when I'm at work, everything like that. But we're going to be getting into the medical piece later as we continue to move on. So that's my belt. Really the only difference you'll see here is, whether it's the 1911 or the 19X, just whatever I can get additional rounds to train with for a couple weeks. Other than that, this is it every single day. So let's keep moving. All right, the next thing you'll see, this is my Beretta 92FS police special. This one I actually got from work. We got a bunch of evidence room guns that came in. I did a quick little video some months ago about this gun when it was so greased up and needed some cleaning. Went ahead and bought it, left it the same. It's got the night sights on it. Tritium has pretty much gone out. The only change I made was the G model decocker. I'm not a fan of a standard M9 or 92FS where you can actually leave it and put it on safe. But the good news is you can buy Beretta's 92G conversion kit, and that allows you to basically turn this into just a decocker. That is my preferred way. The two Berettas I have, I put these conversions in. I don't like a gun that can just stay on safe or might get bumped and put on safe. So now it's working kind of like a SIG 226, 229 kind of deal, where it's a decocker only. 17 round magazines. Right now we got the Hornady in there. I think that's their 124 grain tap. I'd have to be sure. Normally I would select ammo based on what groups the same location or shoots the best in the gun, or what's most appropriate for this barrel length and twist rate. What does the gun like? And these times I'm just grabbing any defensive 9 or anything that I can see. And that's why for the Glock, we got some Spear Gold Dot, and here we got the Hornady tap. We're just kind of grabbing what we can. But this Beretta is mainly a truck gun, so I don't leave guns overnight in cars. I'll always take it and put it in the console or put it in the truck, go about my day, and then when it's time to go home, all the guns, everything's coming out. Just got this kind of cheesy Blackhawk universal holster. Pretty good to have this stored in the truck, in the console, whatever. Also, there's times where I might actually carry it, and this is actually a pretty comfortable holster for a gun of this size. So that's just one way to do it, but mainly this Beretta serves as a truck gun, and that's just kind of the holster it lives in. Sometimes I'll carry it just concealed, but that's not very often. Mainly this Beretta just kind of serves as the truck gun, have something in the truck that I'm familiar with. And again, I just bring it to the truck. It's there. At the end of the day, comes out of the truck. Not a big fan of leaving guns in vehicles overnight. I've actually seen and encountered a lot of people since I've been working at this range that had guns stolen out of their car. My favorite is, oh, my concealed carry gun just got stolen out of my car overnight, so now I need to buy a new one to replace it. And it's like, if it's your concealed carry gun, what's it doing hanging out in the car overnight? Like, shouldn't that be on you? So when you get out of the car and you're making it back to your apartment or your house, whatever, that you have something on you. So lots of people stealing guns out of cars don't contribute to the guns that are going to end up in evidence or doing crime. So yeah, definitely don't leave them overnight. So far, the three primary handguns we've discussed, these are all full-size guns, traditionally from military or law enforcement use as full-size duty or service pistols. Not a big pocket gun kind of fan, not a 380 fan, and you'll see my style is kind of carrying a full-size gun. The way I see it, well, first of all, I'm a bigger guy, so these are all easier to conceal, or my place of work, open carry, just on my person at work only. So it makes it kind of easy, but I just figure if I am in a defensive fight for my life, I might as well bring a full-size service or defensive pistol that has, at least on the 9mm, we got 17+1 and 19+1. These are going to be the Chip McCormick 10-rounders, so 11 in the gun before it's time to reload. Full size, just kind of serve as duty pistols. That's just kind of my style. So what is the Glock 42 doing here? Well, let's see. So the Glock 42, and this is the stock Glock 42 minus, I put the Ameriglow sights on there. And then also I've got the extra grip extension that allows you to have 7 rounds as opposed to 6. So you got 8 rounds total before it's time to reload. Again, not a big 380 fan, but I am a fan of having a gun as opposed to not having a gun on you. Rounds are going to be, there's some Remington hollow points. I think they call them yellow jackets or whatever they call them. One thing about the Glock 42 I've noticed, it suffers from the same kind of 380-ism that a lot of 380s have, whether they're old or new, where you really want to stick to only shooting either full metal jacket rounds that have this rounded profile, or sticking the hollow points that kind of mimic the full metal jacket, just rounded profile. If you were trying to grab some 380 that had hollow points like this, maybe the SIG V-Crown, I've tried different loads in this gun back when ammo was actually a thing, and it does not like it. Most 380s I've seen don't really like it. They're very picky about projectile shape like this, or the flat nose like a 40 Smith & Wesson. So if you're going to have a 380 and you're going to grab hollow points for it, as hard as it is in this environment right now, I would definitely test it out to make sure it's good, or try to find or stick to hollow points that basically mimic the shape of a full metal jacket. So that's just kind of a side note about 380 in general. But getting back to the Glock 42, I like it because it's convenient. I got this sticky holster for it. Easily fits in the pocket. Kind of just looks like a big smartphone at that point. This is the gun that primarily, if I'm going to go walk to the mailbox to go check the mail, I'll just go ahead and slip this in the pocket. Got a spare mag for it. If we're doing the fire pit outside, or we're hanging out doing a barbecue when the weather was better, this is too easy to, just kind of slip in the pocket. Not a big deal. Not a lot of size and weight. It's very comfortable to carry in a pocket like this. Generally though, with this gun, mainly only going to ever see me carrying this thing when I'm around or within close proximity of my house. Not really going to go out into the world with this thing. Mainly just being around the house. It's more for if there's maybe a dog that's running through the neighborhood, something like that, maybe something going on just outside or near the house, and I'm outside just chilling, whatever it is. This is really the close proximity to the house gun that I don't have to strap on, something this size and weight. I can just go outside, barbecue, have a fire, chill, and just throw that in the pocket. So if this is the gun that's going to work for your lifestyle every day, or maybe something like a SIG 365, kind of in the same size and weight category, sort of. Any gun is better than no gun. It's just not something I prefer to take outside of the proximity of the house. So, but it has become really handy for those kinds of purposes. So there's the Glock 42. All right, now we have a secret bonus pistol for 2020. Honorable mention goes to the Glock 44. This gun has been really important to me in 2020. I bought it the second Glock came out with it, and we got some in at work. I just bought it, went straight to the range. Been intending to do a review on it. I've probably put about 6,000 rounds through it. But the reason why this gets the honorable mention for 2020 is this is probably the most shot pistol of 2020 for me personally. Getting the reps in, getting training in, especially when I'm able to carry the 19X. So I'll jump around, switch the weapon light over to the Glock 44, switch back to the 19X. I've also trained a lot of people on this gun this year, whether it's friends or family or other people. Getting them started on a handgun in the form of a 22. This one, mimics the life size. They built it to the size of a Gen 5 Glock 19. So great trainer pistol. Not something I'd recommend for defense or carry unless, maybe there's recoil sensitivity, and this is better than nothing. But honorable mention goes to the Glock 44. This is the most shot pistol that I own, that I've been shooting this entire year. And I've trained a lot of people on this gun this year with no end in sight, no issues at all. Love this gun. At some point when ammo is a thing again, we're going to come back and do a feature-length video on the Glock 44. But bottom line is I would buy it if you can find it. I would just snag it up and go for it. Outstanding pistol. Great trainer tool, and for those recoil sensitive, maybe arthritis in the hands, maybe racking a slide is a little bit difficult with arthritis in the hands or something, this could be a solution for defense for somebody. Any gun is better than no gun, but at least for me, it's the most shot pistol this year with no end in sight. So definitely had to bring that out. All right, one thing that is nice is we're going to mention my blade for a second. This is a Benchmade. I actually forget the model. I've had this thing for years. This is my preferred blade type, a Tanto with a serrated portion. Great for poking or puncturing, packaging or whatever I need to do. Got the serrated portion to do the heavy lifting, to cut through some nasty stuff that would otherwise damage your fine blade. This one's got the spring assist, just like that. And one of the local factors that you may want to pay attention to or care about is, at least local to me, there's a dude that owns a knife shop, and he's a certified Benchmade warranty repair and sharpening center. So he sharpens Benchmades for free. So once I found that out, I'm like, well, I carry this anyway, but I'm definitely Benchmade. I'm just going to roll out all my Benchmades, and that's just how it's going to be. He'll sharpen it for free, and then I don't know if he bills Benchmade or keeps a tally of how many sharpenings he does every month and just sends it to Benchmade. But he'll sharpen for free on the spot any Benchmade. So kind of nice having that local asset. You may not have that in your area, but definitely if that's something that you can figure out, if maybe you have an authorized Kershaw dealer or something like that that will sharpen for free, maybe something to think about. But I love the Benchmade. It's 154 cm stainless tool steel. That's Crucible Materials. Old school steel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Emerson also has done a lot of 154 cm. This steel is pretty tough. So that's going to be the knife I carry every day. And especially having a local Benchmade dealer that sharpens them for free out here definitely just makes sense. So I knew people were going to ask, so I decided to throw that in. All right, next we're going to be talking about the medical piece. So this is a North American Rescue squad kit. If you don't have any traumatic medical supplies, we're talking Israeli bandages, H&H's, tourniquets, things like that, and you just want to go from zero to hero and get pretty much most of the way there, going to North American Rescue, buying their squad kit would be a great way to start or instantly plus yourself up. We got everything from decomp needles for tensionpneumothorax, sucking chest wound, to the nasopharyngeal airways, the lube and everything like that. Lots of bandages in here. Bandages for days. You can never have enough. H&H's in here. This has kind of been a work in progress over the years. This is always in my vehicle, always. I've had my Afghan platoon medic check it out, my Iraq platoon medic check it out, 2 of my firefighter paramedic buddies check it out, and I've done my own kind of modifications as well in terms of getting the tape. You want to get that kind of pre-staged like that. I've got kind of this ghetto zip tie that I did with this carabiner, so that way I can just grab it and pull and go, easily change it out, almost like a roll of toilet paper. The medical piece, I mean, all of this is great. You really want to get some kind of traumatic aid medical training. But even if you had something like this just in your car, maybe you're driving by, you see a horrible car accident, you're one of the first people there. Even if you don't know how or don't have the training to use all of this stuff, got the nitrile gloves in the top pouch. Even if you don't have the training to use it, just having it on hand, somebody less retarded than you might show up. Maybe it's a doctor or an ER nurse that also is driving by, and you say, hey, here's my kit, do things, because I'm not trained. At least having it could help someone else on the scene who knows more than you and actually knows how to use it, but may not have their own equipment at that given moment. SAM splints, pretty much, if you guys want a full layout, we can do this in a separate video. Tourniquets, again, just kind of banded up on the outside, ready to go. Tourniquets, they do you no good if they're going to stay in the plastic packaging that they come in. Definitely take it out of the packaging, get them staged, ready to go. Another side note is, if there's one thing we do not want to go cheap on, it is medical equipment. Some of you guys, if you go to North American Rescue's website, you check out their squad kit. And again, I'm not sponsored by them or anyone. They just make a hell of a product. But you don't want to go to Amazon and just buy some random, cat tourniquet knockoffs. You want to buy the actual stuff. This is going to be a hardened polymer, much like your PMags and anything that goes on guns that's polymer. So when you actually start using the windlass and start tightening things down, it's not going to bend or snap. That is the wrong time to figure out that your, $12 tourniquet is actually made of just garbage plastic and it's a knockoff and it's fake. So if we want to spend real money or prioritize, okay, I have to bite the bullet and really go for it. Medical supplies, definitely going to be a top recommendation, just to, get the quality stuff that's known quantity, known manufacturer, that it is going to be what it's supposed to be. And at least, again, if you don't have the training, I would recommend enrolling in some traumatic first aid kind of training. But if you don't do that, at least having this on hand, someone who's less retarded than you can at least use it, and you at least have it in the moment. So that's kind of the medical piece. And again, this just rides in the truck. Always have this on hand. With a couple customizations. Didn't really subtract anything from the original squad kit, just kind of added a little bit more, made some changes like this. So something to definitely think about. And if you guys want a separate video where we actually lay out everything in here, we can definitely do that. I'll probably see if I can bring in at least my Iraq platoon medic or Afghan platoon medic and see if they'd be willing to maybe do a Skype kind of thing as we lay it out. So if that's something that interests you guys, we could definitely make that happen. But that is the major medical piece. Squad kit can deal with, at least, depending on the severity and the mechanism of injury and what it is, probably at least 3 to 4 people, which in a civilian situation, for the most part, that's just better than simply my IFAC that was on my belt. So definitely recommended, and also recommended to enroll yourself, get some training. So there's the medical piece. All right, now it's time to go over my favorite part, which is going to be long guns or carbines. So handguns are great. They're convenient. You can actually physically carry them. You can conceal them. Easier to hide and just go about your day and just not worry about it, conceal it. Too easy to have it. Long guns, not going to be the same. Obviously, you're not going to be able to conceal this. You're not going to want to be the guy just trying to open carry this every day, every place you go. But I always leave the house with a long gun. No exceptions. There's always going to be a long gun. So this one right here is kind of my general purpose carbine. It's my M4 clone, using some parts that I actually carried or took overseas on one or both deployments. This one's going to be a little bit out of date and a little bit heavy compared to, a cool guy setup that you could make with maybe a BCM, 15-inch free floated M-LOK rail. There's ways you can kind of cut the fat. This one has a 14.5-inch barrel that's pinned and welded to make it 16, but the usable ballistics of the barrel are 14.5. I think you would do just fine with a 16-inch mid-length barrel. That would be my preferred recommendation. Do have the Surefire on, I think they call that their M45 mount. Definitely love it because it kind of, instead of projecting off the side of the gun, it kind of tucks itself at the 45 degree. So again, this one is a little bit heavier, a little bit out of date or older school than what you could accomplish these days with free floated rails and all the cool stuff we have today. But it is kind of sentimental, and I'm also really familiar with this type of rifle. Upper is a BCM, complete BCM bolt carrier group, and just kind of aim point. That's actually a patrol rifle optic on top. Got the issue Maytech in the rear as a backup. Pretty much got this configured to my M4 in Iraq. In terms of sling options, we've got the Magpul loop up here, and then I've got the standard issue thing up here if I want to extend that out. I'd like to have the sling as far forward as I can get it, which is where those rails really help out. Using the old school heavier, a little bit antiquated quad rail from Knights here. Not going to be something I would recommend for most. Again, a little bit heavier than needed. One thing we want to talk about is when we have just a long gun in the vehicle that has a sling. I am a huge fan of stowing the sling. So this one's a little loose. I can re-stow it, but the bottom line is the sling. I like having it stowed and kind of strapped up on the stock or on the gun. We do that again with bike tire inner tube that I sliced up. Huge fan of bike tire inner tubes if you haven't noticed yet. But stowing the sling so we don't have a sling just hanging out in the vehicle. If we needed to grab it, then sling is getting caught and snagged up on things. Huge fan. Recommend stowing the sling or having a way to stow it. So we got our 2 MOA dot for main point, and then we got the Surefire. This has the pressure pad and just kind of secured like that. As you can tell, I don't really care how it looks. I care if it's solid, robust, quality equipment, and if it's durable and how it works. I don't care how it looks. And for those interested, yeah, this is the Palmetto State, their M4A1 clone lower. So pretty cool about that. So again, this one, kind of behind the times. I don't recommend everything to most people on this build. Again, kind of a nostalgic build. Something that have a lot of muscle memory and a lot of reps and training and time on, so it just feels like going home every time I pick this thing up and do some reps with it when ammo's a thing. Another thing, I keep the red dot on all the time. There's kind of no reason to turn it off with a battery life of something like this. So definitely never leaving the house without either this or option 2. So let's bring out option 2. All right, so we're looking at option 2, legally defined as a pistol, but obviously more capable than just a Glock 19X or something like that. So again, this one's a little bit antiquated in what we have going on. Knights quad rail again, front sight base again. These are things that if you're going out to make an AR pistol, there's a lot lighter weight ways to do it. So I'm not going to go ahead and recommend everything I've done here, but it works for me. It's kind of nostalgic to a Mark 18 kind of build. Also, it's what I'm used to. Got the Surefire on here, and again, same kind of pressure pad mounting system on this side. I've been experimenting with putting my ACOG on this one, and so far I actually like it. It's kind of been an interesting experience. Basic logic would usually dictate to put this on the M4 build or something with a longer barrel, and then, you know, have a red dot on this, and that's how I've run this thing for a long time. But kind of messing around, moving equipment around, weapon lights, optics, things like that are always constantly evolving and changing. I'm always kind of experimenting with different things, doing different builds, kind of trying out different things. So far I actually like it, using that old bend and aiming concept, both eyes open, go for it. So kind of an interesting thing I'm messing around with for now. Again, we got the sling is stowed. The sling is going to work on the CQD kind of HK hook setup here in the back. Got that going on back here. And again, huge fan of stowing the sling when it comes to, you know, making sure that we're not going to get all snagged up in the vehicle. Got the angled forward grip. Legally, if it's a pistol, can't have the vertical grip on there, and actually the angled forward grip to me makes more sense when you have this less real estate and not as much reach out on a longer rail. So again, a little bit outdated, a little bit behind the times in terms of the optic, having the quad rail and the front sight base on it. You could definitely do a better job in terms of making it more lightweight, having kind of a better, more relevant optic these days. But it still gets the job done, and again, it just feels like going home when I pick up something in this kind of configuration. Still rocking the A2 pistol grip on both. This one's got the Knights muzzle device, so someday gonna put in to get a Knights NT4 corncob suppressor and SBR this lower and just send it. But in the meantime, this is kind of how we're looking. What I like about this too is I have some tennis racket cases. It fits in the tennis racket case with several spare mags in there. So you can discreetly just have it in the truck and just carry your tennis racket in and out every day. So that's one thing to consider. SB-A3 brace. Personally, my favorite brace on the market, SB-A3. So this or the M4 kind of general purpose rifle that you just saw, these two, one of them is going to be coming with me every day. But again, we're going to do a bonus round, and we'll check that out. All right, for the bonus round, we got my Wasser 10. It's got the Magpul Zukov on there, Magpul 4-end, angled foregrip on there. Kind of out of action right now. I harvested the light and the pressure pad to move it around. So as soon as I get another Surefire and tail cap switch for that, this one's going to be back in action. But again, we're dealing with the stowed sling, or you could side fold the stock. Something you saw with the ACOG is I like to notate what ammunition and what kind of zero it has on it, just for quick reference with all the optics and guns and everything moving around all the time. But yeah, this one just cut a notch in the side of that Magpul grip or forend, just to use the actual sling mount that the rifle has. This is going to be rocking on the RS Regulate mount, and we are not touching anything. We are, let's see, yeah, you could see the gap right there and the gap right there. So this one is still kind of a work in progress, getting it back up to speed with the Surefire, and we'll be good to go. But this is kind of a valuable thing to have if you don't have an AK. Like I'm a pretty serious AR guy, but I knew having at least one AK was something to do. If you're a pretty heavy duty AK guy, having at least one AR is something to do. So, and that's going to be valuable, of course, for the ammo shortage right now, where if you can't find 5.56 or 223, which none of us can, chances are you're still going to find 7.62 by 39. This cartridge right here, you're going to find it still. I mean, we have some at work, a decent quantity of it. So if you have an AK and you have an AR, there's no reason you can't find probably ammo for one or the other. And kind of much like I did with the 1911 and the Glock 19X, if I can find a huge grip of 7.62 by 39, then I'll use that and take that every day. And if I manage to get some more 5.56, AK goes away. AR is the preference. So having two, at least one of each, or having two different long guns that are going to have two different calibers is going to be pretty beneficial. So that's kind of the bonus round. I don't really carry the AK as much. Again, just got to replace that Surefire, get another one. But this one, it's a lot of fun to shoot. You guys saw it in the Milsurp Rifle Range Day. So it's definitely something that will come along for the ride, depending on the ammo situation. And again, getting a Surefire again to replace that. So on top of the magazine in the AR and the magazine on my belt, and I also have another AR magazine in the side door of the truck, I'm always going to have a bandolier. In this case, we got 3 mags. If you're using the metal standard government Stenag magazines, you can actually fit 2 in each of these for a total of 6. If you're using P mags, you're only going to fit 3 total in here, but the metal ones you can do 6. These are just loaded up with 193, 55 grain. Which, if it's not going to be some super cool guy, open tip, match round, 77, 69 grain, unobtainium right now. 193 is my chosen training load, and it's my chosen kind of standard issue, standard setup round. Not a big fan of green tip. What I would argue is you really want the 193. Out of 16 plus inch barrels, you are going to have what you need to get things done. And these, I like it because it snaps. So I'll just go ahead and have these snapped up. What I like about the bandolier is you can adjust this. So what I can do is if I need to, I can throw this over my neck and it becomes kind of a ghetto chest rig, just carrying exactly what I need. You can sling it over your shoulder. There's a number of things you can do with this bandolier in a pinch, or if you needed to, or, hey, we're in gridlock traffic, there's riots or something crazy going on up ahead, I need to get out of my vehicle, I'm gonna walk away and get myself out of here because I can't move the vehicle. Grab the long gun, grab this, sling it around your neck, or whatever you got to do, and you just greatly enhance what you have on hand. So chances are in a lawful self-defense kind of situation, probably not even going to make it through one magazine, but at the end of the day, I don't have to personally carry it. It's not like it's going on my plate carrier or in my rucksack. I don't have to carry it. The truck will carry it. So when I have a vehicle that's going to just take all the weight and I personally don't have to carry it, I don't have to be as choosy about ounces and pounds, why not just throw it in there? It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's kind of the theme of this whole video. So that's the major last critical component of the stuff that I carry. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed that presentation. Again, these are just things that I have. Your personal systems or needs or location or situations are going to dictate possibly different stuff. I'm not saying I'm an expert or know it all, but these are things that I have that I consider life-saving equipment that, a very different story of just leaving the house with a Glock 19, maybe a spare mag, maybe not, and just call it good, versus leaving the house, going to work every day with a long gun, the medical kit, spare mags, the belt, all that stuff. Greatly enhances what you're able to do and what you're able to survive if something crazy were to happen or present itself to you. Again, these are not recommendations. These are just one guy's approach to everything that we have going on. And it's also, like I said, it's a little different working at a gun shop in a gun range where we all carry every day. We are dealing with a range full of new people and having to RSO the range and, shoot the machine guns when there's ammo and do stuff. Probably at a greater risk of, being at a place of work where, traumatic injury could happen compared to probably most people, unless, you work construction, you work with machinery, you're law enforcement, something like that. So my needs are not necessarily going to be everyone's needs, but just some things to think about. And I definitely having a long gun every day and taking it into work with me, taking it out of work, taking all the guns out of the truck at the end of the night. These are things that I just do. And having a long gun is greatly going to enhance your capabilities in terms of getting yourself out of a situation if you can't move the vehicle or anything like that. So not moving into a philosophy discussion, more just this video is about the equipment. There's certainly other things. I have a go kit for the mountains if I just needed to drive up there and just kind of live up there for a while. I've got a vehicle kit that's got tools, tire changing equipment, spare fluids, spare parts and things. You know, those are all separate videos if you guys would be interested. But at least these are kind of, this video was to serve as to kind of show you what I stack on top of maybe what normally I would used to do. So just some things to think about. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation. Go ahead, give me some questions if you got any, and thanks for watching.